Well, welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. We have a rare daytime stream, although I guess not so rare lately. We did one last Friday. We're doing one this coming Friday, but we're just pinch hitting tonight or today for Dr. Dynastic, who's taking a well-deserved day away from OTP to spend time with a friend who's visiting, and we're just waiting on a raid from EVC and NYC2, and we'll get started then. EVC and NYC2, thank you for the raid. As always, I enjoyed Guess the Set. Definitely one of the highlights of the OOTP week. And I'm very happy to be doing another rare daytime stream today. So safe travels to EVC. Have a great trip.
Why do you
D-Block.
keep following me
D-Block thinks I'm
around?
fresh. I don't think that's the case. Embezzler,
Why do you keep
Max
following me
Springsteen, and
around?
Mr. Audit, thank you for the follows. Appreciate it. Steve Ramsey, 9333, thank you for the audit. Yes, Ezra,
Why do you keep
you and I
following
are
me
doing, I
around?
thought we're doing a coordinated daytime takeover by the nighttime crew. So for those of you who don't watch OOTP streams at night, Ezra Denny is streaming a
Why do you
1959
keep
Giants
following me
save,
around?
and he often very kindly raids into my stream, which usually starts at 10 p.m. Pacific time. I might be a day walker. That might be true, Deepak. Um, and then certain nights of the week, I think specifically Wednesday, Thursdays, Fridays, if I have that right, Max LP80 then follows me and does the late night shift. So I am still, I think, the newest OTP affiliate. So you are getting your drops from me. Um, and I have I think some interesting content that we've been working on over the past few weeks at during these nighttime streams. Nolan's gonna call Nolan. Feel free to call me Franchise
Why do
going
you keep
forward.
following me
That's
around?
one of the things I like about that stream. Um, PJ9248 and Wade Beers, thank you for the follows. It's great seeing all these names I know from chats in the stream today and following. Appreciate it. So I wanted to share this information with you. I think a lot of it will Ezra Denny, thank you for the kind words about my streams. I hope the audience will like what I have to offer today. And if you haven't looked, or if you didn't miss see it, last Friday I did another daytime stream to share what we've learned about the totals issue, or I call it normalization. This is where if you bring a league of Babe Ruths together, let's say 1927 Babe Ruth, this is what we used. Instead of all hitting around 60 home runs, they're all going to hit around 20 home runs in OTP. And we demonstrated what it looks like. We talked about why it happens and then how to get around it. So if you want to do a sim where you're doing something like that, there's a really easy way to keep that from happening, from keeping your players from getting nerfed that way. So the VOD's still up. Check out that VOD from last Friday if you're interested. This coming Friday, I also have a scheduled daytime stream where we've demonstrated the stuff boost from the bullpen. So if you play Perfect Team, you've probably heard about this, where we've been told that if you take a starting pitcher and move them to the bullpen, they'll get a boost in stuff. And in one of our sims, we actually demonstrated that. It wasn't the intent, but it turned out to be an excellent demonstration of that. So I'll show you the results of that sim that definitely show that this bullpen bump in stuff. And then also we'll do another similar sim to see if we can recreate that phenomenon in the stream. Tomato, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. But today, this is a little unexpected stream. I offered to help bridge the gap here from EVC to Ezra Denny, and then I think I saw that Nolan might be streaming this evening. So I wonder if that'll be who Ezra raids into, the Nolan Network podcast. He's part of our West Coast crew of affiliates, and he's been doing a 1900, I think, Pirates save as well as a 1979 Mariners save. So he does lots of fun play-by-play. which is very different from what I do. So it's great we have a lot of variety on the nighttime crew there. But what I want to share today is the results of a set of experiments we've been doing to try to kind of isolate and demonstrate the relative importance of batter attributes in the game. And I thought of a live one we can do in real time as well, especially now that I found out. I thought I was signing up to go from 11 to 1 Pacific time,
Why do
but
you
it turns
keep
out it's
following
10
me
to 1
around?
Pacific time. So we'll definitely have time to do this additional sim that I've been thinking about. Uh, Germaniac Brewers, thank you for the follow. Okay, so first we'll go over what we've learned so far. And what that is it comes from this completely average league that I built for experiments. So it's an 8-team league. Actually, why don't I just show it to you? Let me pull up the base game. Bear with me for a second here. I'll explain it while I'm pulling up the base game. I apologize. I had to do a reboot to get ready to stream today, so I'm having to restart all my programs. Um, but the intent was for every player, every batter, and every pitcher in the league to be completely identical and completely standardized or average. So, looking in the editor function of the base game, I found that in 2023, most of the attributes, the league average is around 400. So we use 400 as the average for most of the attributes, and made them all the same for everybody. All right, so let me pull up one of the first experiments we did. And if you're interested in learning how to clone players, how to change their attributes to make
Why do
them
you keep
average,
following me
things
around?
like that, you can go check out the VODs of those streams. They're still on Twitch. And if they do go off of Twitch, I think they'll be on for 2 weeks. I have a YouTube account with the same name, Franchise Time Machine, and I've been exporting all my streams there. Yeah, I'm loading up my screen right now, TX Janks. Thank you for the reminder, though, because I probably would have forgotten. Okay, so here's the base game is up now. 1490 DUK. Thank you for the follow. Is it Duck DUK? Um, so here's what it looks like. Let's do a standings. All right. So the AL and the NL, you can think of them as two separate iterations of the experiment because there's no interleague play, and so each of those uh, subleagues is playing in isolation. And in this example, what we did was all the players are completely average and identical, except each team is maxed out on one particular batting trait. So looking at the AL, the Mariners are completely average, except every batter has 550 power. The Angels, every player is completely average, except every batter has 550 BABIP. And 550 is the new maximum in OOTP 25. If you've messed with editor in the past, it used to go up to 250. And then the same for I, and then avoid K. And then we sim to see. I think we did this one a couple times. And consistently, the power team would come out in first place. And consistently, the avoid K team would come out in last place. And then BABIP and I were definitely in like a tier of their own in the middle, never separated by more than a few games. And so I think we did this twice. That's 4 data points basically. And I know that's small sample size. And actually, I should probably preface by saying we talk about this during the nighttime streams, but we fully acknowledge these are small sample sizes. If I were doing like a hardcore analysis, I'd do a Monte Carlo with like 10,000 iterations. But, and we'd also do a bunch of head to heads instead of doing leagues. But the reason I do it this way is it's more fun and it's more interesting. And it lets us like, do highlights of games and look at the statistics and and talk about it in terms like full season stats and full season wins and losses. And so, I sacrifice some analytical fidelity for having fun and making it like a season. Um, yeah, Tonkmato, the Eye Rangers sound dangerous. And the reason I rename the cities with the attribute is because if you ever look at the team statistics page, which is a really great page if you're doing this kind of thing, is it only lists a city name. And so the first few times we did this, I was always having to look up like, okay, which attribute was Seattle this time, which attribute was New York, and now this way we don't have to keep looking that up. Um, so so this was the first attempt, right? We did this with these four attributes. Um, and then the question was like, well, what about gap power? And honestly, I left out gap power because we have 4 teams per subleague. And frankly, I never thought of gap power as being that important, except in like the dead ball era. And these sims took place in 2023. But it was another opportunity to run another experiment. So, okay, we know a void K is not that important. So let's take a void K out and let's replace with gap power. And when I load the game, you'll get to see some of the crazy experiment names we have in here. But here's one. Here's the one with gap power. Hey, Debbie, good to see you. Yeah. So here's the results for gap power. Right, and you see gap power came in last, basically replacing a void K, but actually did even worse. Their win percentage was even lower. And so, kind of based on the approach, what we would translate that to say is gap power is less important to winning games, even less important than avoid K. And again, we see the same tiering here where power is above and beyond, like by far the most important trait. I and Babbitt are again battling for that second tier, never separated by more than a handful of games. And then Gap is down at the bottom with avoid K. So there's kind of like 3 tiers of importance in the batting attributes. And I think this makes sense, right? If you think about fundamentally what's happening if you maximize these traits. Oh, yeah, I did say I'd show you what these players look like. All right, so let's take any batter here. Here's our leading hitter on the Power Mariners. Average infielder 1. So if you go to editor, right, every one of these players has the same height, same weight. They all bat and throw righty. Um, to standardize things, we turned off coaching, we turned off personality, we turned off player development, um, and then as we normally do for any scene, we turned off trading, we turned off historical trades, we turned off historical retirements and seasons off. We just wanted like nothing to mess with our sim. And then for the batting ratings, you can see we made everything 400. And we made all the secondary attributes 125. And for infielder, for the primary position, all the ratings are 125. And for the secondary and tertiary positions, they're all fielding ratings 50. And we gave everyone max experience at every position in their category. Even hit by pitch, we standardized at 5. So again, every one of these players should be exactly identical, except this team everyone has 550 power. And to give you an idea of how high 550 power is, we did a sim with the 2001 Barry Bonds. That's the season where he hit 73 home runs. I think he had over 200 walks. In that season, his power was not 550 and his eye was not 550. So 550 is beyond 71 bonds in terms of power, in terms of eye. So that hopefully that gives you a sense of like how high 550 is. It's like cheat mode level, it's like God mode level for a given attribute. In fact, I've been thinking about doing these same sims, but with like 500 instead of 550, just to see like, am I breaking something when I take it to 550? Does it still hold true when it's good but not great? Um, but that's for a future sim. But that's what the players look like. For pitching, it's very similar. Well, sorry, this is this is an infielder's pitching range, so they're going to look different. But if we go to the pitching staff, well, if we go to this team's pitching staff, now the staffs haven't changed at all, so they will be completely average. Again, like, same height and weight though. Everything we tried to same service time, same pro service years. We didn't want to have anything that we could point to and say, oh, that might have caused this weird thing in the statistics. Right, so same stamina, same hold runners, same velocity, same arm slot, same pitch selection, same ratings. We try to get the stuff as close to 400 as possible for a starting pitcher. And here you can already see the stuff boost, right? This same pitcher in the pen, the game is telling us would have a 412 stuff instead of 401. So that's the experimental sandbox we've been doing these experiments in. And as with anything we do, I always welcome comments, questions, suggestions on how we can do these better. But I did want to share some of that context because I think it would preempt some of the questions or suggestions like that. It's a small sample size, and that's true, but it's by design. We're kind of trying to blend fun with learning with these experiments. So as in the title, um, we use the completely average league to test attributes paired with power. So I think one of the natural questions is, okay,
Why do you keep
as a
following me around?
standalone, we understand how these attributes would act. Doom OG, thank you for the follow. One day I can join PBE and join the sim balancing team. um, so we know power is the best, right? Or the most impactful. So then why don't we use that to say, okay, well, which of these other attributes is most impactful when paired with power, right? So there's power avoid K, power gap, power BABIP, and power I. And I thought this would be especially interesting to people playing Perfect Team because there's a whole subset of Perfect Team players who are big fans of the power I shape, right? So that's where, regardless of everything else, if a card has high power and high I, they'll take it, right? This is like the Adam Dunn shape. There's a bunch of players, especially early cycle this year, there were a ton of power I shapes. So part of this was to see, all right, where does power I fit in all this? So we ran this last night. So these results are hot off the presses. And then I have an experiment we could run today that I think will test something interesting as well. And also, I thought, speaking of PBE, AW, I thought this would be interesting for anyone who's playing in an online league. It can help you understand where you might want to put your boosts if you have a choice. Like if you're allowed to pick an attribute that you want to boost, where might you get the most bang for your buck? Um, my understanding is that the online leagues play on the same OOTP base game simulation engine. So what we learn in these experiments should be applicable to online leagues. The other thing is for Perfect Team. Again, my understanding is there's a different Perfect Team engine, but they're built off of the same kind of starting point. And so the base game engine and the Perfect Team engine are similar, but not identical. And so I would assume, and it's my understanding, that things we learn in the base game will most likely be like at least generally or directionally be applicable for perfect teams. So this might also help you with your drafts or, assessing card value for your league team, things like that, or building your rosters for tournaments. It may not port 100%, but it should. The things we learned conceptually should apply in perfect team as well. All right, so again with this league, we did right. There's Power Avoid K. There's two, one in each subleague. Power BABIP, Power I, Power Gap. It might be worth asking that if you weren't there last night. Why don't you throw in chat your guess as to which team finished in first, and maybe which team finished last? Right. So the choices again are Power Avoid K, Power BABIP, Power I, and Power Gap. So I'll give it a few minutes. We may not get any answers if everyone's on away from keyboard, but oh yes, that's what Jenny. Great question. The stadiums are identical. All of the stadium factors are set to 1.000. Carl 3903, welcome to the chat. Thank you for your guess.
Why do you keep following me
Completo
around?
with Power BABIP. Charles 3903 with Power I first, Power Gap last. Ezra Denny with Power BABIP. Strohs with Power BABIP. Power BABIP, very popular here. Cuts87, thank you for the follow. D-Block with Power I, even though I specifically said if you were on the on the stream last night, don't answer. Playoff Pressure says, ended up refunding the game for this year since you're overwhelmed to learn it. Season was more than halfway over, so I was like, meh. Well, I'm glad you're still watching the streams though, Playoff Pressure. Hopefully you'll maybe feel more comfortable playing it next year. But yeah, happy to have you in the stream. AW says, I seems to cut into Power Biz, so AW's guess is Power BABIP. Oh, I apologize, D-Block. You were not on the stream. Okay, you slept from 3 a.m. to noon. All right, I think we have a good number of guesses, and it does look like Power BABIP is the leading guess there. And I will say, before we ran the sim, my number one guess was Power BABIP, and my second guess was Power I. And I'll explain my rationale for both after I show the results. All right, so our standings were Power I ran away with it in both sims. And then the other interesting thing is everything else was in a big clump running for second to fourth place. And the order wasn't consistent either. Now this is one sim, so 2 data points, so not a lot. But I think the gap was clear enough that Power I is number 1 and everything else is in the running for number 2. And first, let me explain why I initially thought Power BABIP. Now, the reason Power wins. Oh, Ezra Denny says this is fascinating. I'm glad you think so. It really hammers Power I advantage. It does. Here's the first interesting thing. Let me show you the stats from the teams. All right, keep in mind, Power I finishes 40 games ahead and 41 and a half games ahead. But if you look at the stats, team stats, batting stats, if you look at the home run totals, the Power I team doesn't hit more home runs than the other teams. But it wins because it scores so many more runs because it has so many more base runners. Yeah, AW, you're exactly right. The on-base percentage advantage is crazy because it's the one team that has really good eye. right? Everyone else has 700 to 800 walks. The Power I teams have over 2,500 walks. And so everyone's power is identical. So I doesn't give you any kind of boost to power. And in fact, I think you can argue, like AW is proposing, that it might even cut into your power. But when you hit the same amount of home runs as everyone, but you have 4 times as many base runners, you're going to score way more runs and you're going to win way more games. So it is Power I, and it's primarily because of the extra base runners. Now, so that's why I had Power I as my number 2 guess. The reason I guess Power BABIP first, which most people in the chat did today, is the way power works in OOTP. But first, let me see what AW is saying. How it has been in the past is the game engine first determines walk or not, and then result of the ball and player. Oh, that's interesting, AW. So the way it was explained to me, and this is kind of similar to what AW was just saying, is that even today it works backwards from the result. So the game engine determines probabilistically what is the uh, what is the outcome at certain levels, and so like whether it's walk or not, or whether it's but essentially like to think of it as a spinner, right, with like a pie chart, and so it determines the outcome based on the various ratings, and then it works backwards from there to give you like the play-by-play output, whether it's a 3-2 count, and whether it's a ground ball, fly ball. So it fills in all those details. And so if it is determining walk or not first, that would make a lot of sense here. The reason I thought Power BABIP, and the reason Power as a standalone, explain the game for old Stratomatic fans. Exactly. That is the Stratomatic approach for sure. Um, I was also a Stratomatic fan, so a lot of the way I think about the game does come from a Stratomatic approach. Um, the reason as a standalone Power comes out first is when you increase BABIP, you're increasing the number of hits you get, so you're increasing your batting average. When you increase I, you're getting more walks, so you're increasing on base percentage. Um, the reason Gap and Avoid K aren't that impactful is when you old Strat fans, aren't you still playing? Strat Black just came out. I had no idea. Um, yeah, so as a Stratomatic fan, I used to always wish I could have cards for all these historic players that I liked, and I wanted to like bring them together and play games, and you couldn't. Like they offered like the 1927 Yankees, of course, and they offered some historic teams, but not all the players I wanted, and even if I bought the ones they had, it would have, at least for me at that age, would have cost a fortune. And so when I first found OOTP and found that it had every baseball player in history in the database, I was instantly hooked. And so I've been playing base game for a long time, over a decade, but I'm pretty new to Perfect Team. So when things were happening in Perfect Team that kind of frustrated me, I went back to playing base game, and that's why I started streaming. So a lot of this stuff is stuff I've always wanted to do, and now that I stream, I'm like, oh, this is a perfect excuse to do it and do it on stream. They also brought the computer games with all the years and players. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. But I'm now pretty hooked on OTP, so I might check it out though as an experiment just to see how it is. AW and his dad used to play Pursue the Pennant and then Diamond Mine. Stratomatic was more for football. Oh, yeah. For football, I remember playing the game where it had like a spring and a bead, and you would put your offensive play in. There was an offensive card and a defensive card, and they would like overlay each other, and you would pull the bead down and make it bounce around, and wherever it landed was like the outcome of the play. Um, Badger W4 says, what I miss about Strat is the cards, analyzing the cards and rolling physical dice and the anticipation to find the result. Yeah, for sure. I remember it was always like we would get together, my friends and I would get together and have a sleepover
Why do
and
you
have
keep
like a
following
card
me
ripping
around?
party because they would come in big sheets. And we'd open up the package, pull out the sheets, and we'd all like sit there ripping the individual cards from the sheets. Tom Buttaman, thank you for the follow. Uh, there are also four series who seems strat. Oh, interesting. Tremendous Solo's going back to lurking, but had to come out for the strat reference. That's great. Tag Made knows every season of cards ever made before 2018. Haven't played strat since you found OOTP. Yeah, I think somewhere in my basement I have the cards we played, but I definitely did not keep up with it as late as 2018. That's awesome. Badger W4 loves strat football, ridiculously underrated game. I don't think I ever played strat football. Let me pause for ads. Back from the ads. Yeah, Badger W4. I don't know if I was cut off by the ads or not, but I actually had never played Stratomatic football. And now I kind of wish I had based on what you're saying about it. Um, Also, oh, this is a great story. So Badger W4 lived on Long Island and would get together on the day of their release and drive out to Glen Cove to pick up the cards from the headquarters. That's awesome. That's actually something my friends and I used to like daydream about. We would say, "Oh, we should go get them," but instead we had to wait the extra days to get it delivered. And back then, it wasn't like next day or second day. It would be like a week before we got them. Um, TX Ranks was in a draft league for Stratomatic football in the 90s. Oh, that's awesome. So again, this goes to like why I like OOTP so much and being able to import players and stuff and move them around. When we played, um, we used to each each get a team. We'd either do it randomly or draft, and like we'd run that team for a season, and the season would take like a week because we play a ton, and because we play stickball during the day and then we play Stratomatic in the evenings. But this one year we came up with this way that became our favorite, and we just ran it this way afterwards. Is wow, every year 200 to 300 people show up for the day it's released. That's amazing. That is great, Commando Solo. Um, but our favorite way became we go, we just do like a circular draft and we pick teams. And each person got five teams, and you would designate three of your teams your major league teams, and two of your teams your minor league teams. And you would use your minor league teams for spare parts for your major league teams, but you can only add five players to your major league teams. And so it became this really fun exercise of, okay, which teams are the best teams for potential major league teams? Which teams are the best teams for potential minor league teams? And then how do you then like mix and match and move your players around? It made it like super fun, and that became the way we played once we kind of landed on that. Hey Brent, yeah, the laugh got younger. um, yeah, Ezra Denny and I are filling in this afternoon for Dr. Dynastic. So we're bringing a little bit of the late night West Coast flavor to the daytime. So Badger says it was amazing how much we anticipated the release date. For sure. It was better than Christmas, and then we each pick three teams and hold a 2-round draft for each team of the remaining teams. But oh, interesting. So yours was similar. You would have three teams, but then you're picking players. Oh, that's great. Ezra Denny has a super old set where Schilling and Daryl Kyle signed their cards. Wow, that's amazing. Where did you where did you find them to get them to sign your Stratomatic cards here? That's great. Applebee Hound, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Before Schilling bought Avalon Hill. Yes, yes, rest in peace, Daryl Kyle for sure. Um, Most of the players will sign their strat cards even to this day. Yeah, I remember like as kids, we were like, because every kid dreams of being a major leaguer. But for us, it was like not only do we want to be major leaguers, but we wanted to have our own baseball cards and our own
Why
Stratomatic
do you
cards. So that
keep
was
following
definitely a
me
thing.
around?
Wow, Badger. So Badger, I'm a Mets fan. I grew up a Mets fan. And I didn't know Keith Hernandez still plays Stratomatic over here. That's awesome. So there's a list that you can send stuff to players or just a certain trainer or the game. Oh, that's great. Team is 77, thank you for the follow. And AW, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so one of the first things I did when I discovered OTP was I would always draw my lineups and rosters of my favorite all-time major leaguers on my book covers at school. And so, of course, like I didn't have the book covers anymore, but I that's the first thing I did is like try to bring all those players together and do season saves with them. And it was great. It was awesome because it was one thing there was the thing I could never do in Stratomatic. Age probably didn't even realize you're not following from this account. Yeah, I think it's AW13 I usually see you with. Typemato created and bought custom cards that were based on fictional baseball players from baseball movies and made a team. They were not cheap, but it was. Oh, speaking of that, Tonkmato, let me share something with you all that I'm working on. That at some point I'm going to hit a wall, and I will probably need help from the community filling this out. And let me hold on. Let me pull this up here. And I am still hoping that Paul Spohr is going to help me with the Sandlot part of this. But let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm building a roster for a save that's going to be the best fictional ball players. So this is from movies and some TV shows. Starting with my favorite baseball movie, which is kind of a lost gem. It was an HBO movie called Long Gone. It was about a minor league baseball team in the 50s. And so started with them, but Bad News Bears, Major League, Bull Durham, Mr. Baseball, The Natural, Rookie of the Year, The Scout, For the Love of the Game, Cheers, Sam Mayday Malone from Cheers, um, Rookie of the Year, The Scout. Oh, I said those already. The Phenom, Mr. 3000. And then we started getting a little silly in chat. We had Ed, so the chimpanzee from Ed, Angels in the Outfield, Mitch Kramer from Dazed and Confused, a bunch of players from A League of Their Own, I think would be fun. The Benchwarmers, Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down, and then and then uh, I'd asked Paul Sporer previously if he could help me out with the Sandlot because I'd like to get his take on the Sandlot players. So there'll be a bunch of players from the Sandlot. Hold on, let me get caught up in chat. So yes, so speaking of fictional players, it's funny that you made and acquired cards for fictional players because that's what we're gonna do in in the stream coming up. Oh, Badger says Keith Hernandez, I suppose. You're still incorporate Stratomac in the broadcast. He'll say a thing like that guy has a four range in center field and he's a range one shortstop. You know what's crazy? I've heard him say that and I never noticed it because in my mind that's how we talk about fielders. Like, oh, Jesse Barfield. Oh yeah, he's a one -5. Like -5 is the best arm you could have. That's awesome. Yeah, AW not working in a franchise, not working in a Grimace card, but pretty close. Oh, GT Sundet. I did not know that Josh Petty is committed to Georgia Tech. That's awesome. I don't know if I told you this, GT, but one of my friends from Tech, her daughter was a starting freshman offensive lineman at Tech, and he'll be back as a sophomore this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. Um, so Commando Solo, we heckle outfielders during spring training. You wish you were a five, but you're a two at best. That really gets them if they flub a play or we always shout, way to go, one. um, the other thing is, we always used to say, like, oh, 1-5 or 1-8, or or 212 because that's where the home runs were on the cards. And my one buddy, the year Frank White had a crazy good card, he would, I mean, it was Frank White versus right-handers, so he knew what it was. It rolled all the time, but every time he would pick up the card and point to it as if he was looking for the first time, he'd go 1-8 home run every time. And Frank White hit like the equivalent of 70 bombs that year. It was just like home run after home run. Um, Major League is in there. Oh, Air Bud. Wait, I thought Air Bud was a basketball movie. Does Air Bud also play baseball? Baxter says Kelly Leak. Yeah, Kelly Leak is on the list. Gary Cohen, the Mets play-by-play, still says things like he pulled a Kelly Leak when one outfielder runs in front of another. That is such a good mental image and saying, pulling a Kelly Leak. Yeah, so one of the things that we're working on is what I want to do is find the major leaguer we want to use as a template for each character, and then of course we'll do some adjustments. But for Kelly Leak, I always thought of Eric Davis. Once Eric Davis came, I was like, oh, he's like five tools, and he's got like this cool badass attitude. Eric Davis does. So I was like, yeah, he's like my real life Kelly Leak. Brent says just before I bought this game, my wife asked if she could throw out my Stats Pro baseball, and stupid me, I said sure. And about a week later, I wanted to play it, so I knew it'd been thrown out. And that's when I started my journey to OOTP. Brent, I think that's the equivalent of burning your ships, right? When you land, so there's no going back. AW says this reminds me I need to go visit some Sandlot locations since they were filmed in Utah. Oh, I did not know that. That's awesome. Yeah, AW, I hope you take some pictures and share them in the OOTP Discord or something. That people, I'm sure people would love to see that. Maybe the rookie from the Universal Baseball Association. That story messed me up. Oh, I don't know that story. Yeah, Ezra, I don't know that story. Um, Brent always puts himself in this simu too. Oh, so Brent, I don't have Field of Dreams on here because, as far as I know, all those players are real, including Moonlight Graham. So, since these are all fictional players, I didn't do anyone from 42 or Field of Dreams, 8 Men Out. Since those are all real players, I didn't include any of them. Yeah, Brent, you put yourself in every sim you do. I do the same with every version I buy. It's me and my friends from Little League and high school and even intramural softball in college. I create like the superhero version of ourselves and put them in the game. Oh, okay, Ezra. I did not know Air Bud is a multi-sport star. I mean, if Ed the chimpanzee is going to be in here, I think Air Bud has to be in here too. The Sandlines in Salt Lake City and other places are spread out. That is cool. Yeah, talking about Mr. 3000 is in there, but some of these movies I've only seen once or I've never seen, so I don't know enough about Mr. 3000. So if you do, uh, let's discuss offline. It'd be great to pick your brain about like what those players should look
Why do
like
you
in the
keep
sim.
following me around?
George Costanza. So yes, so TX Jenks. Um, you probably it sounds like you probably know this, but in editor here I'll show you in the base game. In editor, you can actually change all the names of everyone, including support staff and front office folks. Um, Marcus Amore, thank you for the follow. Team is 77, thank you for the follow. So in this sim, I didn't touch any of the front office folks, but if we go to front office and organization. Oh no, wait, where's oh, you know what? I turned coaching off, so I think it may have yeah, so financials are gone. The coaching staffs and the staff seem to be gone. I can maybe get to it this other way. Staff search. Yeah. So you can go into any coach and use editor. And just like we edit players, you can change their name, their date of birth, where they're from, all their attributes. And so yeah, so there's definitely going to be uh scouts and coaches and like I was thinking Lou Brown from Major League might be the manager. Uh TX Yanks love the idea of George Costanza being in the front office. Maybe we'll promote him to GM. Um, oh, interesting. Z Farrow. We Keith Hernandez asked himself from Seinfeld. Yeah, although that would still break the title of the fictional player team. UBA is a book about a guy who's obsessed with his not Stratomatic baseball league. He plays it religiously. His Empire team has an amazing rookie who's going to be the best player, but the dice roll comes up and the player dies. Oh man! So you is UBA a book? I have to check that out. That sounds amazing. AW went to school in Logan, but live just over the border in Idaho these days. The uniforms better be cotton. That's exactly right. Yeah, or yeah, AW, you let the cat out of the bag. Laptop will be stalking whatever city is across the border in Idaho for sure. Brent beat oh Brent, did you beat Lap in the 6L? That's awesome. Let me get caught up in chat here and then we'll jump back into the sim. Can we get some Simpsons players from the episode? Well, so if it's the softball episode, all those players are major leaguers. Is there a different episode I'm not thinking of? Oh, Bugs Bunny should be in there as pitcher and catcher, right? Badger, great call. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna add Bugs Bunny. Let me add Bugs Bunny. All right, it's the rare pitcher slash catcher combo. Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes. Rex Pennebaker from Mr. 3000. Okay, so this is helping me out because for Mr. 3000 I have Stan. Is Rex Pennebaker the younger player that's like kind of taking the spotlight? That's awesome. I am looking forward to rewatching some of these movies though. Now that like I know where the holes are in my knowledge, it'll be fun to go back and revisit those. Yeah, as he plays every position at once, right? Oh, the Homer. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll have to find that episode. Oh, the Peanuts gang. That's a good call too. If I remember correctly, is Charlie Brown the pitcher and he keeps getting his like shoes and socks knocked off when is it when Lucy hits the ball back through the box every time? Yeah, I'll have to refresh my memory on the Peanuts baseball positions and stuff. Oh, the giant dude Bugs Bunny plays against. Yeah, speaking of who they play against, I also included in Major League Haywood. Haywood is the guy on the Yankees, played by one of the Vukoviches. And they basically talk about him as if I put him as like basically like a Frank Thomas type hitter. So yeah, so like opponents are in here too. What about the catcher from For the Love of the Game? Okay, let's open up a spot for him here. By the way, I think it was Nolan when he saw that I had Steve Nebraska in here from the Scout. He reminded us that not only did he
Why do
throw
you keep following
an
me
immaculate
around?
inning, which is 3 strikeouts on 9 pitches. Uh, Bronx Boomers, thank you for the follow. That Steve Nebraska threw an immaculate game. So he threw a complete game, 81 pitches, 27 strikeouts. Oh, Peppermint Patty? Yeah, for sure. Oh, Clue Haywood. That's right. Tomato. Thank you. Clue Haywood. Awesome. Frank Thomas, but not as agile. I don't think the agility ratings go negative, but we can try. The villain from Rookie of the Year, the guy who Henry strikes out to win the game. All right, let's make a spot for him. So we'll figure out his position. Leave a spot for the villain. Okay. Ezra says, and this is how my stream goes until 1 o'clock. That's right. So for those of you who weren't aware, I signed up to fill in from 11 Pacific till 1 Pacific, which is 2 hours. But then I realized EVC had to get off early to go to the airport. So the slot was actually 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, which is an extra hour. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to fill that, but I can always do some pack rips and stuff. But yeah, Ezra's right. This sidetrack, and this is like the sidetrack of sidetracks. Spore has nothing on me on this one. This is going to eat up a lot of that time in a good way. In a good way. Um, oh, this is great. Badger says, "Did I know that the Mets drafted a guy named Serrano this year?" Immediately went to the Mets Facebook groups and asked if he was bringing Joe Boo with him. That is amazing. Yeah. So speaking of Major League, my favorite player to figure out was Eddie Harris, who's the junk ball pitcher who drinks Chobu's drink. And chat, I think Nolan had a big part of this too, but I think I might have thrown out Gaylord Perry, and then chat also contributed the Necros. So I think some combination of them is going to be what we're looking for there. Yeah, so Benchwarmers has one player. I think suggested by Nolan. We have Gus from the Benchwarmers, but I will make spaces for Richie and Clark. And to think, I thought I'd have a hard time filling 26 roster spots. We may have 2 teams here because a league of their own alone has at least 5 or 6 players that have like speaking parts, and you get a sense of like what how they are in their positions and what their ratings might be. Um, so let's see, benchwarmers. We have Gus. We need Richie and Clark. Okay, let's copy that down. This is I didn't realize there'd be so much enthusiasm for this team. And then the intent is I'll create a season save for them, maybe multiple seasons, and then we'll do watch highlights and do play by play during the year. Okay, let me get caught up here. Good thing he didn't want to do fictional players. Wait, I thought that is what we're doing. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that, T Jenks. Uh, I think you look for Alejandro Butch Hedo, the bad guy in the first rookie. Wait, the first rookie of the year? There was another one? I didn't know there was another one. But Schmitty Games coming in with the full name, including nickname. Thank you for that. Alejandro Butch Hedo. And also, before anyone brings it up, I am not going to do Major League 2 or 3. There's plenty to mine from Major League 1. I was actually pleasantly surprised no one brought that movie up last night, so I'm going to hopefully stay with that. Okay, Luke Collins. Is Luke Collins a Little Big League reference? Am I remembering that right? Oh, do I not have Little Big League on here? Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't have Little Big League because the kid owns the team, right? He inherits the team. But that is a good point. We could have players from Little Big League here. And I'm behind on chat, so correct me if I'm wrong here about the movie and I can go back and correct it. All right. So yeah, so I just got to Tom Tomatoes' comment about Luke Collins. I think I have the movie right, but okay. Oh, he says from Little Big League. Awesome. Could have Howie with a cranked up hit by pitch. AW, help me out. Which Howie are we talking about here? Gave off Major John Kruk vibes. Oh, Bobby Rayburn from The Fan. Is that the movie where is it Robert De Niro's the stalker? Putting it down for now. We can always double check. Jim Bauer's also from Little Big League. AW says make sure you get face gens for all. You know what? I bet if we do this well, oh, they might not be allowed to do this. I was just thinking if we do this well, maybe we could get OOTP to include it as a quick save in OOTP 26. But there are probably going to be licensing issues with that, so I don't think that'll happen. Let's add Jim Bowers. Jim Bowers from Little Big League. Also, I need to go back and rewatch Mr. Baseball, where Tom Selleck goes to Japan. I want to see if I can pick up any of the Japanese baseball players who he plays with. Casey at the bat. I mean, I do have damn Yankees and take him out to the ball game here. I'm not opposed to putting Casey in here. Oh, you know what? Also, from The Natural, I meant to put this. What was the name of the guy he strikes out? I think his nickname was the Thumper. Was it the Thumper? It's when the train stops and they have their little contest, and Roy Hobbs strikes him out. We got to have him in there. Jim Unknown for John Fogerty center field. Oh, that reminded me of for League of Their Own. I have the players, but I also wanted to include Jimmy Dugan. So Jimmy Dugan is Tom Hanks's character, and he's a washed up drunk managing the team. But at the end of the movie, when they're at the Hall of Fame, you see his Hall of Fame exhibit and how I think maybe he had the National League record for home runs or something. And so we can definitely build a profile around him. How is the dude who wouldn't go in the sun in Benchwarmers, who was a hero getting hit by a pitch, hit by a pitch 550? All right, let's put him on the list. All right, Howie from the Benchwarmers. Awesome, awesome. All right. You can tell I'm still behind on Chad here. Okay, Tom said that is the fan with the stalker. Chico Escuela from SNL. Is that is he played by Keenan? Or I might be thinking of Keenan's Big Pappy impression. So I might be confusing. So AW, I did think about basketball, but I intentionally did not include it. I'm amazed someone went there though. Good on you, AW. oh, the short. Oh, the shortstop for the bad news. I thought the shortstop for the bad news Bears was. Oh, let me pause for an ad break. Oh. All right, we're back from the ad break. I thought the shortstop for the bad news Bears was Tanner, the kid who was cursing all the time. Are you saying that's Chico Escuela? Or is that Chico of Chico's Bail Bonds, the sponsor of the Bad News Bears? Actually, Chico's Bail Bonds would be a great name for this team. We have to reference books. Sylvester Codmeyer 3, the third of those Matt Christopher, the kid who only hit homers. We can do books. I mean, we have TV shows. We've got Eastbound and Down and Cheers, so I'm not opposed to doing a book. In fact, I was going to reference, I have the book for The Natural. I was going to reference that to get more scoop on how to design Roy Hobbs. So I'll add him to the list. You'll have to do the heavy lifting on the player creation, though, Nolan. Sylvester Codmeyer. Is it EY? Yeah, EYR the third from the kid who only hit homers. Okay. There is a baseball episode of South Park. That's true. Oh, 70s is on Garrett Morris. Oh, I don't know that skit. Let's add him to the list. Oh, these are great. Yeah, we may have to have multiple teams in this league. Yes, Schmitty Games. I agree. It's widely believed that Dugan was modeled after Jimmy Fox. Yes, I mean at least the player aspect. I don't know about his personal life after the game, but for sure I remember hearing that too. That as a player he was modeled after Jimmy Fox. Yeah, so actually let's put that in. That gives me confidence that I put that in. At first, I thought I wasn't. I had to look that up to confirm the source, but just having a second voice say that is helpful. Yeah, with the ad break time to get really behind on chat. Baseball been very good to me. That's right. Yeah. See, Duncan, there is no mothership today. Doctor Dynastic is taking a well-deserved day off from OOTP to spend time with a friend who's visiting town. And so I'm carrying us through to Ezra Denny, who's going to finish up filling up Dr. D spot. But yeah, unfortunately, there are no official drops today. But we're going to make sure you get your affiliate drops for sure. Kyle Schwartz was the main bad player that was featured in South Park. Okay, we can put Kyle in. Plus, it'll give me an excuse to watch that episode of South Park. All right. Since they intentionally tried to lose. That's awesome. All right, I'm actually caught up on chat now, unbelievably. Well, this is great. I when I started this project, I thought a few people might be interested in helping out. It is awesome seeing all the interest in chat for this. So, and over time, if you feel like you have a good suggestion for the MLB template for a player, let me know. What I'll do is, let me pull up my Discord. So in my Discord, there's a few things. There are people from the community who are sharing their experiment doing in the base game, which I really appreciate. I'm posting the results of my
Why
experiments
do
and
you keep
simulations.
following me around?
And then I want to use it for like, hey, help me fill out this roster for this sim. So if you're interested in helping out, feel free to join my Discord. Erie Bass, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So yeah, I think I don't know that there's not a channel in there. I might as well just create one right now. I'm just gonna create a fictional
Why do
ball
you keep
players
following
channel.
me around?
So yeah, you can put your ideas in there, suggestions for movies. Appleby Hound, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Such an iconic user as Appleby Hound. Super famous in the laptop hound streams. That's awesome. That's great. Um, yeah, so I think what I'll do maybe to prevent duplicates is after I stream tonight, maybe I'll take a screenshot maybe of the current list and then put up there. But I mean, who cares if we get duplicates? I'll sort through them. I just like everyone's enthusiasm for suggesting names and movies. That's great. But yeah, I think Nolan. I think books are good. I'm open to like clearly TV shows. Um, I think in Tony Danza in Who's the Boss, he was a former baseball player. So if anyone can figure out like what his player profile might have been like, I'd be totally down with having Tony Danza. Uh, I used to do it. I used to do a Tony Danza Who's the Boss impression. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Let me see if I can still do it. Angela, Samantha, Jonathan, uh, Bingo Long movie. I thought that was based on real players. Is it not? So Moonlight Graham is actually in the baseball encyclopedia. So he should also be a BREF. Let me confirm that. Because when I got my baseball encyclopedia, one of the first things I did was look up Moonlight Graham. So let's pull up BREF. Yep, he is in there. He is in fact in there. There's Archibald Moonlight Graham. And let's see if his stat line is correct. Yeah, he played one game, no plate appearances, played right field. And I will say, I just got goosebumps pulling up his profile. Instantly takes me back to watching that movie, which is great. Yeah, so Moonlight Graham, real player.
Why
So
do you keep following me
he's not
around?
unfortunately not going to make the team. Although if it's in the spirit of the movie, you get him in there so you can have one plate appearance, right? And then take him out. Kango Star, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so books are something I hadn't thought about, Nolan. I think that's a good suggestion. So if anyone knows good baseball books with interesting characters, I'm all for it. I also think by maybe rereading the novel, um, or no, it's not the Natural. I think I'm thinking of. Oh no, wait, no, I do have Bernard Malamud, right? Wrote the Natural. I do have that book. I also have the novel for. Um, it's not called Field of Dreams, but it is Field of Dreams, but it's not called Field of Dreams. Um, I don't know if I'm going to take the time to read that because I'm pretty sure there are no fictional players in that story, but it would be good to read it again. Oh, AW's got an interesting one here. The baseball episode of Star Trek. So I've never seen it. I don't know if there are fictional players in it or not, but I'd be open to it if you can find more details. Does Calvin Ball count? I think it's the same rules as basketball, where I'm not going to include hybrid games of baseball.
Why do you keep following me around?
Noah's fantasy baseball team is a Calvin Ballers. Yeah, I think we have enough players without going to hybrid versions of baseball, as much as I appreciate the suggestion. Schmidt, you're gonna have to help me with who's Jake Sisko. Is that part of the Star Trek reference? The other thing is I keep thinking I'm missing something major. So if anyone comes up with that, let me know. Oh, I did also think about there are a bunch of police procedural shows where inevitably there's an episode where there's like a team softball game where it's like them against the fire department or something. So with all those, I don't necessarily know that we get enough information to be able to fill out a profile. Um, but if there's an especially amazing version of that, I'd be open to including it. Um, but yeah, initially it was movies, but then I wanted to. It just they're like fun examples that came up of other like Sam Mayday Malone from Cheers. I couldn't not have him on the team. I'm still trying to figure out like what blown save leading relief pitcher I'm going to model him after. But there's a bunch of clues about in the show about what he was like as a pitcher, and so I'm going to try to kind of piece together what profile. But yeah, so there's this column here for basically like the major leaguer we could use as a template. So we would import in that major leaguer and then edit them. And so that's where right now I could use the most help because we have a long list of players now, but we have the list of players that have um, a major league profile to base it off of is much shorter. So like the top of the list is pretty well defined, but as we get later in the list, of course these are added later, which means I'm probably less familiar with the movies, and so it's also harder for me to come up with the template. Death to the opposition, worst second best line ever. Um, he's the CEO of Cisco Foods. Shimini Game says his best line was a single word to Q: die. So yeah, I mean, is that a player I should be listing for real? Jake Cisco? Should I put that on the list? I don't even know which reference that is from though. So if someone could tell me, then I'll add him to the list. Um, that's probably the actual answer, but I was thinking more of the garbage first season of TNG. This is sex. So are these still all Star Trek references? I'm not very
Why do
familiar
you
with Star
keep
Trek.
following me around?
Um, but I'm open to the references for the team for sure. Uh, let's see. Kango Star, thank you for the follow. BJ Ryan Sayer, thank you for the follow. RWD 072059, thank you for the follow. AW, refresh my memory. Mark Appel. Oh, wait, that sounds really familiar to me. Wait, but isn't he a real player? Mark Appel. I thought there was a real Mark Appel. All right, I'll wait till someone comments more. Real is in quotation marks? I don't even know what that means. Is Chico Escuela like Mario Mendoza? Mario Mendoza of the Mendoza line, who is the namesake and captain of our um, low end baseline team that we created when we were initially trying to solve the totals and normalization issue by creating a pool of low end players to offset the high end players like Babe Ruth that we brought in. But that's before we found the super easy way to offset that. Um, Speaking of which, should I use that as a segue to get back into the sim? You can keep throwing the suggestions out there, but I do want to get back to the sim. Oh, Sid Finch. Yes, the mythical Mets April
Why
Fool's
do you keep following me
phenom,
around?
Sid Finch. We got to have him in there. Sid Finch. I think I spelled it right. Yeah, I thought it's Finch. Yeah, I actually remember that when that happened. That was great. Okay, so where was I? I totally lost track. That was the ultimate of tangents, by the way. As far as on here, you've got nothing on me on tangents. um oh yeah, I was showing how you can change coaches. So yeah, we can name I think because I turned off so much stuff in these sims, but you can have a trainer, a head scout, batting coach, pitching coach, bench coach. If you're just doing GM mode, you can have a manager. You also have an assistant GM. If you're not GMing, they're the GM. And then you also have manager, batting coach, and pitching coach for every level of the minor leagues. So there's like a lot of roles we can potentially fill with fictional coaches and staff. um, yeah, so that's something I actually thought I would like put it together over time over the next few weeks. But man, I think we have enough players for two teams already. So that might happen sooner than I thought. All right, so oh, hey Nolan, one of my drops got you a historical perfect. That's awesome. The duplicate Sam McDowell. Well, even if it's a dupe, hopefully it gets you some perfect points. That's great. Thanks for letting me know that. I didn't. So I end up my packs end up piling up, especially since I started streaming, and so it's hard for me to understand when people are like, oh, like the drop I got from so and so got me this. I'm like, how do you even know? And it's because other people are up on their pack ripping and I'm not. Mark Appel was the number one overall pick who was super hyped up but quit baseball only to come back in a 30 and stink. That was not heard from again. Sounds fictional to me. Okay, when I started reading that, I thought it was going to be like a catfishing thing, like that linebacker from Notre Dame. Schmidt against it's got to be Lou Brown. Yeah, Lou Brown was my first thought too for manager for sure. But for bench coach, I was thinking about what's his name in Bull Durham. What does that make you? Lollygaggers. What is his character's name? It's not the coach. You'd be the bench coach. Now I have to look it up. Bull Durham cast. The cast will give you the character names too. Yeah, we want you to mention. Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of busy. Okay. Here is cast credits. I'm gonna kick myself when I see the name. Oh, Larry, played by Robert Wool, of course. Larry. George Knox from Angels in the Outfield. Is that a player or a coach? Angels in the Outfield is one of the movies I'm not as familiar with. And in fact, I may actually not have even seen it. Oh, George Knox is the manager. Right, right, right. Yeah, okay. Danny Glover is George Knox, Angels in the Outfield. Okay, I'm gonna have to start a separate list of staff. Let's do that. Let's create another worksheet here. So I got some advice from Cheeky, who is also one of our late night affiliates, that these white spreadsheets are super blinding. So I've tried to flip flop them. Okay. Manager, Lou Brown, Major League. Okay, what else do we have? We have George Knox, Angels in the outfield. Yeah, bench coach Larry from Bull Durham. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing it yet. Here, let me share you. So I was I was inverting the colors and adding the white lines in the white font. Oh, the scout from the League. Yeah, I was also thinking of is it Trouble with the Curve, where it's Clint Eastwood's the scout, and I think his daughter's a scout too, maybe. Yeah, but that's a great call. Ernie Cappuccino. Oh, sorry, Scout, who discovers Marla Hooch. Capadino. Uh, oh, also, we can rename the. I think we could rename the owner. We should use the owner from The Natural. I need to find out who that is, though. Okay, scrolling up through chat just to make sure I didn't miss any names here. Uh, yeah, Lou Brown. Okay, I think I've caught up. I also in my saves, I also fill out the minor leagues. We can do. I think it's Morris Buttermaker from the Bad News Bears. Al Percolo is on the scout. It's so funny. I just laugh at the idea of the immaculate game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Brendan Fraser actually was the name I couldn't pull last night during the stream, but we do have Steve Nebraska in here. Um, I have high K, high command pitcher, but that doesn't do it enough justice. If he's throwing an immaculate game, we're gonna have to go off the charts on him. Mr. Otis says, "Can we get Sam Mayday Malone from Cheers?" We actually have him right here, row 26, Sam Mayday Malone. But Mr. Audit, if you have a suggestion on the major league player we bring in as the template for him, I'm all ears. Minerva is walking into the middle of this. Oh, that's true, Nolan. We do have enough players for a majors and a minor league team. In fact, we could put some of the kids on the minor league team, and so they can age into the team as some of the older players like Eddie Harris age out. That's a good idea. We can make this like a years long sim or save. Minerva, what you're walking in on, uh, despite the title being of this stream being using our completely average league to test attributes paired with power, which we were on the way to getting to. I went on an epic spore shaming tangent when I mentioned that I'm building this league of fictional players. Oh, and I know what started it. It's when who was it was telling us a story about how they would buy and build Stratomatic cards for fictional players. And I don't want to credit the wrong person, but was it Badger? I'm going up to see, but if someone can remind me, I don't want to get it wrong, but I want to say it was Badger. Uh, Anyway, I apologize. I can't remember off the top of my. Oh, Tonkmato. Thank you, Tonkmato. Uh, that Tonkmato and his friends would uh, acquire and build Stratomatic cards for fictional players. And I was like, oh, I happen to be working on a league that I want to do a multi-season save on of fictional players, and I already had most of this list. But what I didn't have was the player we'd bring in as a template, and also my list probably ended around row 28 or 29. And so all these others were added during the chat last night. Um, so yeah, so I'm looking for fictional players, but then also mostly at this point now we need the templates. So um, yeah, old man Billy Chapel is going to soon be a retiree. We also know that Crash Davis is going to retire soon, right? To spend more time with Susan Sarandon. We know Jake Taylor's knees are giving out, so he might not last much longer. Which is fine though, because we need to make room for Kelly Leak, Amanda Wurlitzer, Henry Rowan-Gartner, right? These kids that are going to be all the Sandlot kids. So I think it might work out that we do majors and minors. So that's a good suggestion, Nolan. Yeah, Sam has to be someone bad but good enough to be a closer, but bad enough to give up a lot of the game-losing home runs and blowing saves. So, um, yes, Ford walking in on this too. Yes, this is a league based on not just movie but fictional players. So we've got Sam Mayday Malone and Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down. We've got some TV shows. Nolan recommended a player from a book. And Spore, I don't know if you remember this. A while ago, I asked you if you would be my consultant for the Sandlot players. So, for the players, I'll need like the major league player to use as a template. And Nolan had a good suggestion where we're going to have a major league team of current players, and the minor league team is going to be the movies from kids movie, the players from kids movies, and we'll age them in over time. Yeah, Minerva Serrano was one of the original set here, and I thought D Block had a great suggestion. The batting profile should be Adam Dunn, right-handed. So yes, four with the emote too. Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. So we'll have a bunch of the Sandlot kids in here. Um, yeah, I'll get in touch with you. I think the Tigers thing has lost a little bit of momentum, but I'm hoping to pick that up. But I think I didn't realize people would be so interested in this fictional players team. So I might bump this up on the list. So I think the sooner you and I can chat about Sandlot, I think the better. I absolutely did not anticipate this much interest from people on this team. Even like where Minerva and Spore just walk in are like, what is happening here? Uh, is showing me that like I underestimated the interest in this team. Spore says, let's focus on this. Yeah, I agree. Food mascot team is up next. Hold on, I think I might have missed something here. Oh yeah, Minerva. Yeah, Serrano is on here. Um, let's see, Schmitty Games, Doris Murphy and May Morabito for sure, and then Marla Hooch for sure. Both likely low key all stars. Yes. 2007 Gagne for Sam Malone. I'm sure there will be lots of candidates, so I'm willing to put him in there as one of the choices for sure. Where was he? Let's see. Sam made him alone. He was in the 20s. Here he is at 26. Yeah, I think figuring out the profiles and tweaking will be a lot of fun too. I guess I should do that on stream because if people have this much are this interested in the players we pick, I'm sure they'll be interested in crafting the players too. Like Roger Dorn, or we talked about on stream. I thought it was yesterday, but it must have been 2 days ago if D Block was involved. Um, right? So like in the movie, he's kind of washed up and only playing for the paychecks, but they allude to him having been pretty good. But you get the sense like he was never like a superstar, and so we're trying to figure out who that was. And I thought D Block came in with a good one with Kevin Seitzer. Like that felt like the right level of player. Um, so like that's what we're looking for. Is like who's the good starting point that we don't have to do a ton of tweaking to get them to be the right player. Um, oh, talking about you did this in 2011 and 2015, and you've been smiling the whole time. Minerva says we need Hato from Rookie of the Year too. Okay, so I don't know that movie well, so I will take your word for it. Oh no, I think we have it. Is it Alejandro Butch Hato? But if you're saying it's Barry Bonds, if it's peak Bonds, it's probably 2001 Bonds. I also like for Clue Haywood, I'm going with Frank Thomas. The way they talk about his stats and especially like how he kills the Cleveland team, I thought that was a good one. Yeah, Billy Chapel is going to be an interesting one. It'll definitely be someone end of career. The man only ever hit dingers off Roan Gardner. So let's see. Yeah, are we talking about the same player? Oh, Spore says Frank for Clue is great. Awesome. So let me bold the ones where we feel like we have some consensus. Um, Frank Thomas, Crash Davis has an Eric Kratz vibe. Perfect. Oh, for Hedo is you're saying Kruk? We can add that. I'm actually surprised Kruk hasn't been mentioned for a lot of players. He just seems like he should be a movie character. Um, oh yeah, Spore. Now that you're here, I'd like to get your take on this. I always thought of Kelly Leak as Eric Davis, like five tool player, like cool badass guy, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. Oh, Spore, I did not see your Roger Dorn equals Anthony Rendon. That's also pretty good. I remember Hedo grinding sawdust off his back handle. Yeah, Vukovic being the scary hitter was funny, but he definitely looked the part. I was like when I saw him, I was like, wow, he really looks the part. Oh yeah, so I'm thinking Gaylord Perry for Eddie Harris from Major League. He's the junk ball pitcher with all the creams and lubricants all over his body. Love it with Eddie. Okay, perfect. Oh, Charlie. Yeah, we can throw in a sprinkle of Charlie Huff in there too. That's a good idea. Yeah, all the Perry Necro Huff vibes for sure. Um, the only reason I think I'm still leaning Seitzer versus Rendon is wasn't it Rendon at one point known for having at least a decent glove? And I don't think we necessarily got that with Dorn. Um, but I could be wrong on that. I could also be thinking of the era when um, people would conflate fielding with hitting too. Uh, so what does the chat think of Pedro Serrano being a right-handed Adam Dunn? Like these three in particular. Eric Davis is Kelly Leak, and Kelly I learned last night has just one E. Kelly Leak, Willie Wilson for Willie Mays Hayes, and then Adam Dunn for Pedro Serrano. And then if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend enough Long Gone. I think it's on YouTube right now. It often goes unavailable for long stretches. I think when people reinforce copyright on it, but you can find it right now. It is my favorite baseball movie. Um, and it has William Peterson from CSI in it as the star pitcher, former hitter. And he has one of my favorite all time lines in a movie ever, comparing himself to Stan Musial when they were both at spring training, coming up as rookies together. Just look at Serrano's profile on EMLB and go off that. I can do that if someone will share it with me. That's fine too. Um, yeah, so I'll figure out the best way to. I think I'll just screenshot this. Uh, oh, Little Big League. Yeah, we have a few Little Big League characters here. Um, we have two. We have Lou Collins and Jim Bowers, and I don't know the movie at all. So, is one of these the first baseman? Let me see if I can figure out from the cast list. Lou Collins is the first baseman. Okay, so we'll pencil in for him. Uh, let's see, where is it? Lou Collins. Shit. Warlords can be Barry Cito, another hyper curveball. Yeah, yeah. So I always go back to her saying she's got her curveball breaking however many feet. So I was looking for a curveballer. The way she was striking out kids in that little league, I was thinking like early Dwight Gooden, but I think Barry Zito could be good here. Yeah, Bugs is Babe slash Otani. That's true. That's so good. Where do we put Bugs? Is he way down the list? Oh, he was added today, so he's yeah, there he is. I don't know if OOTP is going to let Bugs Bunny play pitcher and catcher at the same time, though. I don't know if it's going to work out that way. Uh, Zito is great for Wurlitzer. Greinke for who are we talking about? AW Greinke for who? Stan for Mister 3000 is like old Julio Franco. Okay. Does anyone want to hazard a suggestion for Ed the chimpanzee from Ed? Oh, Greinke is a breakable fisher. Okay, yeah, we'll add him to that list then. Rocket arm for yeah, for sure. Rocket arm for Ed. Oh wait, who's Ezra talking about here? Great shortstop. Is Ezra still talking about? Oh wait, now who's Minerva talking about? If it's someone from lower in the list, it's from a movie I haven't seen. Oh, for the Sandlot. Yeah, I think for the Sandlot, I'm just gonna check the Spore and have him fill it in because I think of Spore as like the Sandlot expert. So we'll let Spore fill that part out. Um, yeah, no, for sure. We'll do that offline for sure. Yeah, didn't mean to do that now at all. Wait, the X-Men play baseball in the comics? I had no idea. Manny Machado short. Are we still? Who are we talking about at shortstop now? Ripken, Machado. Are you all still talking about Ham Porter, or are we talking about Ed? Do we have the Twilight players? Did they play baseball in Twilight? So if it's a link, whisper it to me. I'll check it out. Flammable Cow, thank you for the follow. And if I didn't say earlier, RWD072059, thank you for the follow. Wait, it's that Twilight? They have a baseball? They have a baseball scene? Oh, Spore, please whisper that to me. I need to see that. We may have enough for 2 or 3 rosters at this point. Well, although, oh no, I like Nolan's idea of having a minor league team. So we'll put the kids in the minor league team. Uh, yeah, Airbuds come up if we're gonna use Ed. Yes, AW Sid Finch has already come up. He is on the list because it is fictional. He was from a fictional news report, I think in Sports Illustrated, but it is fiction, so he does make the team. Man, I will say Minerva and Spore walking into that conversation definitely gave it new momentum. That was great. Yeah, so that will be an ongoing save. I think building the roster will maybe take a stream or two, and then once you have it built, I'll probably you know do games once a week or something. We'll pick a day and we'll just make that the day of the fictional player team. And I think we could probably like plow through if we just do highlights. We can plow through like a week at a time or something on a stream. I think it shouldn't be a problem. For Rayburn, you use 1992 bonds. Oh, the early bonds. Interesting. Where's oh there he is, Bobby Rayburn. Yeah. It is great having Bonds in the base game. We can do stuff with him that we can't do in Perfect Team. So the 1992 Bonds Rayburn. That's uh Wesley Snipes. Is that was that Wesley Snipes in that movie? I think I'm thinking about the right movie. Yeah, I can see Wesley Snipes being like an early Barry Bonds. That's cool. That's really cool. Sean Soul, yes. I'm building a roster for a save of fictional ball players. And we even have fictional staff. So here's the fictional staff so far. In OOTP, you can edit staff as well as players. So you can have scouts, coaches, managers, pitching coach, batting coach, or hitting coach, trainer, assistant GM, GM, all those roles we can fill in with fictional characters from movies, and we can adjust their ratings too. If you haven't dug into editor with staff, you can Spore would like to get his grubby paws on this roster when it's done. Yeah, by all means. Oh hey, Paul, I had a question. If we put this together and we get it looking good, will there be IP issues, or could it potentially be added as a quick save in OTP 26? I have a feeling there'll be like IP issues with the fictional characters, but I thought I'd ask. Yeah, Shansol, funny you should ask. I started with my favorite baseball movie, which is Long Gone. So we have Jamie Don Weeks, Stud Cantrell, and Joe Louis Brown starting off our roster. Tom Mato said the 12-year-old pitcher from the Benchwarmers. Yes, that's why I assumed there would be IP issues, but if you could get a official no, that would be good, I think. I don't know the movie, so am I adding that or not? The 12-year-old pitcher. A different Jason saying Serrano feels more like a Chris Carter. Okay, we can add that in. That one's not fully landed, I don't think. So, yeah. Watch Benchwarmers. Oh, yeah, it does seem like I need to watch Benchwarmers. A card set of notable fictional players would be so legit in PT. I would think it's even harder to do in PT uh than in the base game. Carter Dunn, same vibe. Yeah, that's true. But Carter's already righty. For Dunn, I had to put right-handed Dunn, so Carter might be better. Um, Time to start a stream night to broadcast baseball movies. So what? I don't know Twitch very well. What are the rules on that? Could we do a watch night, or would it have to be on a different platform? Um, yeah, no shot. We can do it in PT, but but we can't do bonds in PT, but we can do bonds in base game. I know it's a different set of IP, but um, I'm hoping we can do it. It would be a fun quick start for sure, and I'd be happy to donate it. But I imagine there'll be tons of IP issues with that. But it's something I can definitely share in the forums or something. I'll have to check on the rules for that too, though, because it is IP. Um, oh, Discord, yes, but not Twitch. Oh, interesting. That would be fun to do some baseball movie nights. Uh, we don't know which one handled the curveball better. That is true. There is no batting rating for hitting pitch types, but I don't know. Does Fangraphs have something, Paul? Does Fangraphs have rating for hitting fastballs versus breaking balls? If it would be anywhere, I'd assume it'd be on Fangraphs. I also think, do we need different splits for him, whether Joe Boo is in the building or not? Bruce Pearson from Bang the Drum Slowly. Did I not have that movie on here? Oh, I had Take Me Out the Walk and Damn Yankees, but I did not have Bang the Drum Slowly. Nolan says, regarding the movie idea, you'd be doing a watch along. Would be a time sync up to start simultaneously and just watch. I do them for wrestling PPVs and live events occasionally. Okay. Yeah, we can probably figure out how to do that. Yeah, you can see how players did versus particular pitches. Awesome. Um, okay, so I will make a note to check fan graphs to see which power hitter hit the curveball the worst. Paul, I know you know lots of stuff, but you don't happen to know off the top of your head which players are worst at hitting the breaking ball, do you? Uh, it's also possible to watch Prime movies. Uh, so much. So yeah, so I guess we have to have it, and then people who want to proceed would have to have Prime. Anything you watch non the Prime list, you have to pay them and negotiate. It's a pain. Tried it a couple years ago. Not between those two. Do you know in general any power hitters who sucked at hitting the breaking ball? I'd imagine though, if it was that obvious, they wouldn't last in the majors very long either. For back, keep that warm. Yes. I didn't know if you could pursue, but I never even try any of that. Oh, Javi Baez, but I think he's the wrong batter profile. But yeah, we need the Javi Baez of power hitters, I guess. Um, yeah, I had no idea this was gonna catch on like this. This is awesome. Javi Baez is bad at everything. That's not a cement mixer. Uh-oh, I got disconnected from chat. Okay, I'm back in chat. Oh, I didn't realize Nolan's been sending me a bunch of stuff in on Whisper. Nolan, is any of this stuff something I should read right now, or is this just for like future reference? Thanks for sending these, by the way. Johnny Gomes couldn't hit the breaking ball. Let me pull up his profile. Gotta spell it without the H. Let's go BREF. Yeah, even if he can't hit the breaking ball, I don't know that he has enough power to be Serrano. Schmidt Game says you guys have much greater reach and audience. Oh, this sounds like a side conversation. Sports that I'd rather just watch and gather on Twitch to watch Sandlot or something. Or are you talking about getting like a watch a watch party going? Yeah, I think watching Sandlot would be fun. That's one I didn't do multiple viewings of, so like none of the players stuck with me the way a lot of these other movies did. Gomes is 252 versus fastballs, but under 200 versus slider and curves. But yeah, power was not immense power. Yeah, so I think it needs to be someone who hits bombs, but then has that same split AW versus fastballs and breaking balls. But it sounds like I can find that in Fangraphs. I'll do a little digging. But AW, if you find someone else, let me know. I'm open to the suggestions for sure. The thing, I don't think you ever get any indication though from the movie whether Serrano has a good eye or not, right? You just get that he hits bombs, but he has a hard time with curveballs. And then even for Ricky Vaughn, I was thinking like early in the movie he definitely seems like Mitch Williams, but it seems like towards the end of the movie he gets a little more command and control. And so I don't know if like that needs to be switched to someone else, but I have him as like a right-handed Mitch Williams for now. But yeah, I'll figure out the best way to share this. I can probably either share it as a view only, or I can just put up some screenshots. Oh, Carlos Pena. He might be good. Look at AW pulling the Fangraphs data. Thank you for doing that. All right, let's get Carlos Pena up here. Yeah, the bombs are there. 46, 31, 39 led the league in 2009. Lots of strikeouts, but not ridiculous amount of strikeouts. But if you're saying, um, wow, 135 versus slider, 138 versus curves. Wow. Yeah, we might have our man. Something like this 2007 Carlos Pena. Man, a 1037 OPS, and assuming those stats kind of carry through his career, could you imagine a 1037 OPS hitting below 150 against breaking balls? That's amazing. Oh, well, yeah, we'll look up 2019 Josh Hader from Malone, but let me get I think this is pretty good. This 2000 I think 2007 Carlos Pena. Where am I looking here? Pedro Serrano, 2007 Carlos Pena. In 2007, he was 118 against curves, even better, and 167 against sliders. AW, thank you for looking that up. I really appreciate that. I think we found our man for Pedro Serrano. Um, and then Talkmano suggesting 2019 Josh Hader. So let's look him up. This is for Sam Mayday Malone. Oh, duh. I don't need to put the whole the whole search term in. 2019. I think this is too good though, right? Because all the stories they tell on Cheers about are about him blowing saves and giving up home runs. I mean, I guess 15 bombs in 75 innings is pretty good, but yeah. Yeah, 15 yeah, 15 in oh yeah, 15 in 75 and two-thirds, yeah. Yeah, that is pretty high. Yeah, 1.8 is pretty high. That 2000 Jose Lima I used against the Babe Ruth was 2.2, so 1.8 is pretty high. Let's look up his blown saves. It should be under advanced pitching, right? No, where are the blown saves? Were they up in the first one? No. Sounds like Rod Beck. Yeah, we should look up Rod Beck too. Some of his less excellent seasons. Where is do they not have blown saves in their stats? That seems like a big miss. It's not here, right? You would think it'd be right next to saves. Yeah, I don't see it there. Mouse over the saves. Okay, thank you. Oh yeah. Oh wow. I think seven
Why do
blown
you keep
saves. I
following
don't
me
think
around?
fits with the way they told stories about him. Uh, Don Stanhouse's nickname Full Pack by Earl Weaver because of his stressful release appearances. He would chain smoke a full pack of cigarettes. All right, let's look up Stanhouse and Rod Beck. Yeah, Spore, thanks for that hover thing. I had no idea you could do that. That's great. All right, Don Stanhouse. Oh, I think his home run suppression might be too good, but let's look at this. It peaks in 1980 with 1.4, seven saves and five blown saves. That's pretty good. Let's find a bad Rod Beck season too. Full Pack is a great story though. TX Jenks, thanks for that story. That's awesome. Rod Beck. All right, let's find a max. Five blown saves in 15 opportunities. Four blown saves in 11 opportunities. How about with San Diego? Wow, no blown saves in 20 opportunities in 2003. Here's five blown saves in 11 opportunities. Yeah, and this season he had a 1.7 home runs per nine. This season he actually had 1.8 home runs per nine. He had 28 saves and blew none of them while giving up that many bombs. That's impressive in its own weird way. I'm liking this Stanhouse though. This really bad Stanhouse season is pretty good. Especially I like the season, the story that goes with it. 1.4 home runs per nine, five blown in 12 opportunities. And then he comes back for a stint with the Orioles. No saves, no opportunities. Okay, for now, let's go 1980 Stanhouse. Mainly because I like the story that goes with it too. So big thanks to TX Jenks for that one. We'll keep looking though. I'll still leave a question mark. Oh, we never did look up the 2007 Gagne. Let's look up 2007 Gagne. I think we all talk about Low and Lao. I don't think enough attention is given to Gagne Gagne. All right, 2007. 16 saves. Only four blown and only point 0.5 home runs allowed. But this, look at this gem of a 2008 season: 2.1 home runs per nine, 46 innings pitched. In 46 innings pitched, gives up 11 home runs, uh, 10 saves, seven blown saves. This might be a candidate too. We'll leave that 2-7 Gagne on the list also. Seems like a good. Oh, Kyle Farnsworth, 47 career blown saves. Oh, let's check that out. Having a lot of blown saves to me is like being a 20 game loser. You have to be good and bad enough to do it. Oh, let me pause for ad break. Per nine. Ooh, this stretch right here. Okay, we're back from ads. I'm looking up this Kyle Farnsworth profile that AW suggested because of his 45 career blown saves. Um, my eye is immediately drawn to this split season in 2008 where he had 2.2 home runs per nine innings, uh, one save, three blown blown saves, uh, 2-3 with a 4.48 ERA, a 1.525 WHIP, and 2.2 home runs per nine across the two leagues. That's pretty good too. 2008 Farnsworth. That's his 32-year-old season. I think that's kind of in line. If he retired soon after that, that'd kind of be in line with the Sam Malone storyline too. So let's add the 2008 Farnsworth. Okay, and then Tom Mato suggesting 1973 Tom Hall. So let's look up Tom Hall. Also, this is highlighting one of the things that I noticed when I was building the not Tom Walker, Tom Hall. When I was building the Mario Mendoza All Stars to try to offset the Babe Ruth. It's actually a ton of fun building a roster of terrible seasons, maybe even more so than building a roster of great seasons because the terrible seasons are super entertaining. Specifically 73, 1.1 home runs per nine, eight saves, six blown saves. That is an impressive blown save percentage. 8 and 5.615, or sorry, 3.47 ERA. I think the whip might be a little too good. Let's see if he has another like a really bad season. Oh, his last season, super small sample size, but 2.3 home runs per nine. A different Jason weighing in with, how about Bob Stanley? And of course, Bob Stanley, I fondly remember for helping the '86 Mets win the World Series. Of course, he played for the Red Sox. Um, in fact, let's check out that '86 season to start with. Five blown saves and 16. Let's look for his worst home runs per nine. Yeah, I don't think he gives up enough gopher balls. Like, I mean, one of the running jokes is how many bombs Sam Malone gave up. So, hey, back with Seth McClung. All right, we do have to look at him. A-Dub kept pushing Seth McClung when I was building the Mario Mendoza All Stars. That's funny that you brought him up again. That's great. 1.6 home runs per nine is impressive. One blown save in his one opportunity. 1.629 whip is impressively bad. And it was his last season of his career. All right, I think we have to at least throw it in the mix. 2000, you got your wish. 2009 Seth McClung is in the mix. I'll even put this on screen so you can see it. Oh, it's cut off the edge, but I am adding the 2009 Seth McClung. Is he related to Mac McClung, the slam dunk champion? Smiley Face Jane weighing in with 2018 Hector. Is it Neris or Neris? We'll find out from the pronunciation guide. Neris. McClung hype from AW. Let's look up 2018. Let's see if it's befitting a Sam Malone template. 2018. Well, only 3 blown saves out of 14 chances, but an impressive 2.1 home runs per nine. It fits one end of the story, doesn't quite fit the other end of the story, but that is a pretty impressive home runs per nine, I gotta say. The 81 ERA plus, also pretty nice. Okay, I think we gotta put him in the running. 2018. All right. Oh, sorry. I was looking at stats and I didn't show you the stats. There are his stats. I'm going to add him to the list. Thank you, Smiley Face Jane. I'm telling you, I mean, look at all the suggestions you're getting for the terrible relief pitcher. There's something about like finding the worst seasons that
Why
is
do you keep
kind of
following me
fun to do.
around?
Especially because I think so often we're looking for the best seasons. It is kind of refreshing. Okay. If no one else has any suggestions right now, I think
Why do
we'll
you
move
keep
this over
following me
to
around?
the Discord. I'll find a good way to kind of share what we have so far. Um, and then yeah, if you all can. Ooh, I'm in the finals of the 5L today. Nice. Who am I playing? I'm playing. Well, sorry, I got a little sidetracked here. I looked over at my secondary laptop and I see that I'm in the finals here against the the Ventura Waves of Chris B. I don't know who that is, but Chris B, if you're in the chat, good luck. We're going head to head here in the 5L finals. If Chris B is the alt of someone we know or someone in the chat, let me know. Be fun to chat while we see how that series goes. Okay. That was awesome. And it ate up a ton of time, which I was worried about not being able to fill. So that was great. Look what happens when you stay awake for a draft. That's right. I did manage to stay awake for this draft. Yeah, so for those of you who are new to watching the stream, I usually stream until 1 or 2 in the morning Pacific time. And then I try to do my drafts and my PT live before I go to bed, knowing that I have to get up to get the kids ready for school around 6:30 in the morning. And so fortunately, I'm self-employed. So during the day, I can give myself some naps, which I've built into my day, into my schedule. So, but it doesn't prevent me from sometimes falling asleep in the middle of drafts or roster builds. So if you ever play one of my teams and it has like 12 players, that's what happened. And I did stay awake for this one. Um, in fact, I should probably also see. Well, hold on. Let me let me finish showing this. Um, Especially because in case people have come in, the punchline for the experiments we're doing on the batter ratings is that power I trumps everything. Power gap and power avoid K are kind of and power BABIP are all battling for second place. So I don't know that it even matters if you can sort this out, but the point is power I is huge. Um, and the thing that we found that I thought was interesting was none of these combinations really significantly changes how many home runs you end up hitting. So if you look at the team stats, all 8 teams, right? It's 2 sets of 4. All 8 teams hit around the same number of home runs. In fact, you could even make an argument that in a, probably not in a statistically significant way, but Power I is either last or second last in home runs in each league. But they score a ton more runs because of all the runners on base when they're batting. And so, for those of you who are Power I fans in Perfect Team, you're probably onto something. You probably already know that because you're winning tournaments. But this is one way that we can show statistically through experimentation that what you thought was true, or maybe you have your own models that supported this, but like it does make a huge difference in winning games. It doesn't make a huge difference in hitting home runs. The walks though make a huge difference in OPS, and that also makes a huge difference in wins. So you can see they score over 1,000 runs more than the other power combination teams. And if anyone came in late, what this is, sorry to suddenly change tracks from the fictional baseball team, but I did want to finish kind of walking people through this before wrapping up today. And I was hoping to do a quick sim too, to test another part of this. We use this completely average league, excuse me, where all the players are the same and have close to average attributes as possible. And then we just jacked up to the maximum. The static numbers for the other values, AW, are for most of them are 400. When I went into the 2023 season and I used Editor, um, the average for most of these batting ratings was around high 390s, low 400. So I just settled on 400. Um, Now in this league, the league averages are now different because we have all those, power combination teams. But if you look at 2023, most of these would settle around 400. And then the other thing we did using the lessons learned from the League of Babe Ruth was to make sure that we turned off the modifiers, right? Because if you let the AI select these modifiers, everything you're doing to boost their power and other attributes, the AI is then gonna try to nerf and tamp down because it's trying to get you back to league average. So we had to set these all to 1 to turn that off, and that's why we got the results we did. So, excuse me. The other experiment I thought would be interesting was, well, there's two. I think one is less interesting, and I'll save that for a different stream. But I thought since we have a different audience today, we do one I think is interesting. Is what if we take uh, one attribute instead of maxing it out? What if we zero it out? And so we can get a sense of which attribute hurts to not have the most. In particular, I'm thinking about these player shapes, card shapes we get where it's like, um, high contact and I, but no power. Or and we already kind of have a sense of power I, but what if it's average power and I and no BABIP? I think it might not just be the opposite of, look, if high power is the most valuable, I don't necessarily think that means low power is the most harmful. But we have a way to test it, so why not test it? So that's what I was thinking we'd test today. Um, so I actually think the easiest way to do this is go back to the ones where we're just testing maxing out one, and instead we'll flip it and we'll nerf the one. So we'll start a new quick start game. I save these as quick start so I can do as many experiments as I wanted to with them. So I think it's quick start 2. I have a key. Unfortunately, it won't let you say very long quick start names. I think it's quick start 2. Yeah, because 3 is with gap. 2 is um, power, BABIP, avoid K, and control. Or I. I. So that's the one we want. So 2, and we'll call this Bat Ratings 0. I think it's version 6. We're going to zero out an attribute at a time. So we'll create this game. Now, one thing in these older quick starts is on some of them I forgot to. Well, yeah, so you want to be in commissioner mode and cannot be fired. We're not going to assign ourselves to a specific team because we're going to manage the whole league. For some of these, I didn't uncheck these boxes that would stop the sim from being interrupted. And everything else looks good. So now the easiest way to do this is to go into the league settings and change the team names. So instead of avoid K, this is going to be no avoid K, athletics, no BABIP. And I'm a little worried that if I take it to 0, it might break something in the game and might have some unintended consequences. So I'm going to take it down to 100. It's not quite the opposite of taking the high end up to 550, but I'm worried that there are artifacts that might occur at 0 that don't occur at 550 and hopefully don't occur at 100. Adev says it's definitely interesting to look at power effects since they completely took power out of the contact equation for this year. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they made that change. It's interesting though that it's still dominated then, because my understanding is it's still adding hits to hits you're not getting from contact, which is why you're getting kind of like a double dip benefit from them. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, we have 40 minutes before we raid into Ezra, so I think we have time to do this. So this is the no avoid K athletics. So I changed the names first, so I have a reminder of what we're doing with each team. So we just go in, use that. You see here the avoid K is 95 out of 80, right? It's above scale. We're just going to change all those now to 100 or maybe 50. That's extreme without going down to 0. Right? And then we can arrow down and just change all these as we go. You might think, why aren't you cloning these players? The problem with cloning is that might even take longer because your clones end up in the free agent pool. There's currently no way to just assign your clones to show up in your roster. So then we'd have to go hunt them in the free agent pool, reassign them back to this team. And by then, I think it's probably just easier to go through and make the edits manually. So yeah, if anyone wants to start guessing in the chat, um, which team is going to actually do the best when it has one of their primary hitting attributes set to almost 0. And we're not going to do gap because this is an earlier version where we were doing BABIP, avoid K, contact, and power. Or no, sorry, not contact. BABIP, avoid K, power, and I. Contact is calculated from BABIP and avoid K, so we wouldn't be adjusting that. BABIP, avoid K, power, and I. Which team is going to do the best despite having one of their attributes nerfed completely? AW would put a very small bet on I. Okay. I'm going to give you guys my guess at the end so I don't bias anyone's guesses. I mean, not that I know more than anybody else. If you've been watching these streams, you know as much as I do. Of course, very few people watch my streams because it's so late at night, so no one might know as much as I do at this point. But there are actually a bunch of folks on here who are pretty regular on my late night streams, so they might have guesses that are good as or better than mine. It is nice though to be able to show this stuff to a different audience. I think it's fun stuff and hopefully is informative to your perfect team or base game play. And so I wanted to that's one of the reasons I jumped onto this time slot today is I think this is helpful information, so I'm trying to share it with folks. Oh, Smiley Face Jane saying feels like it go anyway, but guessing BABIP. Okay. And I think that intuition that it could be anything is probably accurate because going up, I think we have a pretty good sense. A lot of the guesses for going up were
Why do you keep
close or on the
following me
money.
around?
I don't know that we have a lot of experience thinking about this way. Maybe those of us who play 5L, 6L, and encounter more iron cards might have some sense of it. But I mean, I play those a lot, and I'd be guessing. I think. Although when I tell you my guess, I will give you. I do have a rationale for my guess that I'll explain. But it's a guess, so I could be. It's like explaining witchcraft. Like, there's no science behind my guess. Ooh, and I am down 2 games to nothing in the 5L final. So, not looking great for me there. All right, the BABIP Angels. This team is getting their BABIP nerfed. And for those of you who haven't played with Editor before, not hard. And it actually is a lot of fun. So if you haven't done it, I encourage you to set up a save and just play around with it. See what you can do. There are very few ratings you can't change. And I have personality turned off. But another thing that you have in the base game that I don't think is actually turned on in Perfect Team, or if it does, we don't see it, is personality. And there are different ways players' personality traits can impact the game. So you can look for their ratings, I think, on the bio page, and you can adjust their ratings as well. AW, yes, it's the guess for which team would do the best with their attribute nerfed. Okay, we're taking AW's bet off of I, and we'll wait to see where he puts it. Gap is definitely the answer from AW. All right, so we got Babbitt from Smiley Face Jane. We've got Gap from AW. And once we start to get maybe to the last team, I will tell you what my guess is and why. The only annoying part of this is every time I arrow down to the next player, I have to scroll back up. For some reason, it keeps starting further down the page, which is a little annoying. Okay, this team is done. It actually goes pretty fast. And the good thing is I'll save it as a quick save, so we have it. If you want to recreate this experiment, it's pretty easy to do at that point. At that point, it's just plug and play. You just load up the game and you can run it because everything's already done. Fortunately, most of the experiments have been pretty definitive. You know what? The one interesting thing that was not definitive at all is when we tried to do this with pitching attributes. So we cycled through stuff, raw movement, which is how it's defined in the base game, PBABIP, and control. And I think we did 3 sims, which is 6 data sets, and none of them were definitive. The orders were different. The spreads of games behind were different. Um, Granted, we weren't taking a super deep dive analytical look at the results, but looking over the 6 results, like we couldn't see any obvious patterns. So pitching ratings, either we set up the sandbox ineffectively to test for pitching ratings, or we need to come up with a different experimental design, or we just need to brute force more iterations and see, what starts to bubble up to the surface. With the batting ratings, it was very clear, and hopefully you saw that when I went through the results. But with pitching, it's still very much up in the air. But I think it's worth checking, see if we can figure it out. The other thing I want to do is do the same experiment, but with different pitches, like individual pitches, um, to see. We know from other experiments that changeup is super powerful in OTP 25. Um, but it'd be interesting what other pitches are powerful or not powerful. Smiley face Jane changing to avoid K, which is fine. It's interesting that people are changing their picks as they think about it more.
Why do you keep following me
Lineups.
around?
Okay. Apologies. This part's a little tedious, but we just have to do it once, and then we have it for any number of iterations we want to do. Okay, this is no eye rangers. All right, so smiley face J now going with avoid K. Yeah, these ones where I don't have to scroll back up go much faster. That's funny how
Why
the
do you
scroll
keep
only
following
takes
me
a tiny
around?
amount of time, but you're multiplying it by 26 each time. So it does take time and it is annoying. So AW says, for some reason, I thought you meant all attributes to be 50 except one. So that definitely changed. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think changing all the attributes except one would ultimately make it not that different from what we already experimented with. So I think going the other way and nerfing just one, I think would give us potentially a different result. Well, I mean, it's going to give us a different result, but I think it'll be more different than just inverting the results of boosting one attribute. Um, I don't think it'll be as simple as that. But the thing is, every time we do this, we learn something from the sim, and then we always learn some odd thing about something I wasn't expecting. And my favorite example recently is when I did the Billy Bean tribute sim, where I brought Billy Bean and Glenn Burke, who were at the time the two first openly gay former Major League Baseball players. Since then, there's been another. I think T.J. House is his name, pitcher, who came out after finishing his baseball career. Wanted to do a tribute sim for Billy Bean the week he passed away. And in the course of doing that, I found this article with 14 former professional baseball players, including Bean, Burke, and House, who were openly gay, and found 13 of them in the game, including Isla Borders, who is a female left-handed pitcher who pitched in the independent leagues. And she is in the base game. She is in the historical database of the base game. So that also gave me hope that there might be other women in the base game that we can find and maybe do a fun sim with. Unfortunately, there's no gender field in the base game, so there's no easy way to search for them. So I think it's going to be a lot of finding names of trailblazing women who have played professional baseball. Clearly, at the minor league level, there have been none at the major league level yet. But finding those names and then trying to import them in the base game to see which ones actually import to see if they're in there. But yeah, that was my fun discovery, unexpected discovery from that sim. So, and I asked Paul Spore if he knew, and he didn't know. So I figured if he didn't know, it's probably not a well-known thing at all. So I felt like I'd made a pretty good discovery there. I don't know if any of you all knew that, but it was a surprise to me, a pleasant surprise, to find that we already have women in OOTP base game historical database. She pitched in the independent leagues in the late 90s, early 2000s. I believe I read in her profile when I was putting the roster together that she was also, I think, the first Division 1 female baseball player to get a baseball scholarship. So very cool. There's some videos on YouTube about her. I think one was on a 60 Minutes profile.
Why do you keep following me
Um,
around?
Seems very much like a trailblazer, but unfortunately, like, not super well known. I only found her because of this Burke and Bean tribute I was doing. So, pausing for ads. Hmm. All right, we're back from the ad break, and I did say I would uh, reveal my guess and the rationale behind it when we came back from ads. So, I think the team No Avoid K is going to win. Um, Although I'm tempted to change it to Gap. But the way I was thinking, I was like, okay, what hurts the least to lose? I think losing power is going to hurt quite a bit, as well losing BABIP. When you lose Gap, you're only losing a base or two off of each hit, and these are players who are average major league contact, so it's not even a ton of hits. So you just won't have a lot of doubles, um, which is better than not having home runs or not having walks. So I think Gap, if not first, will be second. The reason I went with the Void K is you can still strike out. In some cases, striking out is even better because it keeps you out of double plays. But what I'm concerned about with my avoid K guess is the way OOTP calculates contact. Having no avoid K or very little avoid K might nerf contact. So you know what? I'm switching. I'm switching to gap. I've talked myself into gap. AW mentioning Negro League's had a few women players through its time. That is a great comment. I do need to look that up and figure out to make sure I'm searching for women players on the Negro League teams as well. Um, okay, so I think everything's set. Yeah, welcome to Team No Gap. I think I'm joining Team No Gap, and Smileyface Jane is now on Team Avoid K. Anyone else before we start the sim? Because I'm about to save this game and then save it as a quick start. So this one is, I'm going to shorten the name. It doesn't give you a lot of characters. I need to shorten it so I can add some descriptors. Oh, I guess I can add the descriptors in the bottom. Batting ratings QS06. And this is, oh, no, what am I doing? I'm not loading because I almost just undid everything. That was silly of me. Um, I want to save current game as a quick start. There we go. QS06. All batters totally average and standardized, except each team 50 at one specific attribute. And the ones we chose for this one are power, avoid K, BABIP, and oh wait, we didn't do gap on this one. It's I. Oh, we don't have gap on this. Sorry, this is Power Avoid K, BABIP, and I. So I am going to go with Avoid K. Yeah, sorry. There is no gap teams. So, AW, you're going to have to pick another guess. I forgot. This one is, and let me double check. No Power, no Avoid K, no I, and no BABIP. Yeah, sorry if I confused already. So yeah, so no gap is not a choice. So I am back with Smiley Face Jane on team no Avoid K. All right, you have a few seconds here while I get this sim ready to go. You're not going to be on the same team, okay? Are you? I guess you could take the field because we're we're on team Avoid. Oh, no Power. Interesting. Quite the gamble. Yeah, Ezra Denny, we had the fictional player roster had a ton of momentum, and then as we're like starting to run out of steam, Spore and Minerva came on the stream and started asking about it, and it picked up a whole new energy. So we were just now we're getting to start a new sim where instead of coupling attributes with power, we're now taking single attributes again. We're going back to single attributes and we're making one of them 50 out of 550. So we're really nerfing it. I didn't want to go to 0 in case that triggered some weird effects or artifacts. I took it down to 50, which is very low. Like 50, you don't even see in rookie ball on this scale usually. I think it's reserved for like high school players, right? So that's one of the reasons the scale is expanded. Major leaguers seem to sit within like the 300 to 550 range, and then you have your minor leaguers in that middle range, and I believe the low end is probably like basically like players out the door, high school players, players just starting to play, um, occupy that lower end. So yeah, so we were about to ready to start the sim. Let me make sure I got all the reasons it would stop off. I just need to make sure we're not nerfing our stats. Yep, this the modifiers are turned off. Check out my Friday afternoon stream from last week to understand why we did that. And let us simulate the season. All right, so AW is guessing team no power. Ezra, do you have a guess? Smiley Face Jane and I are on team no avoid Ks. This is what team is going to win their respective sub leagues. All right, the first month is actually just 2 games, so it's not going to tell us a ton. Togmato is for team no avoid Ks. No avoid Ks. Ezra thinks it's meaningless. All right, the AL is just a cluster right now, and no BABIP is 2-0 in the NL, but this is a very small sample size, so let's see what happens. Again, everyone is identically average except they're completely nerfed in one trait. Okay, this is interesting. In the AL, no I is in first place. Oh, and in the NL, no I is in first place. This is a shocker to me. Wow. All right, testing another month here. No I still building their lead in both leagues. AW should have kept with the original. Avoid K is in the cellar in the NL, yet strangely is in second place in the AL, but the gaps between second and fourth are not very wide. No I is starting to build the lead in both leagues though. Yeah, it is wacky. I would have thought I was critical as well, Ezra. I am a little surprised. No power NL keeping AW hopeful. No I is 11 and 12 and a half games ahead in the AL and NL respectively. And in the cellar, though by not by much, is BABIP. No BABIP. And every time I do this, something surprising happens, either in the main outcome or usually in some secondary thing that we discover digging through the results. Okay, no I is continually in both leagues. And they're starting to develop a gap between no power at second and the rest of the field. Yeah, Avoid K and BABIP almost identical, says AW. That does seem to be correct. Let's do another month. We're into the month of August now. I is starting to lose its grip on the lead a little bit in the end. Nope, here it comes back though. All right, and you get a sense of the small sample size, right? We have two samples right next to each other. There is no interleague play, so these are independent experiments. But you can see how there are similarities, but also differences. Part of that is natural variance in RNG. Oh, shoot, it went to the playoffs. Hold on. Okay, despite everyone being average, except for this one trade, we did manage to have someone win the Triple Crown. We don't know yet which team they're from. Does anyone want to guess? Average infielder one from, we don't know what team, won the Triple Crown in batting. I've got to guess it's Team Avoid K, right? I mean, you can't win the home run title if you're no power. Sure. Okay. AW saying Triple Crown probably no I. I'm thinking probably no Avoid K. With it, I mean, I'm AW might be right because no I finished first in both leagues. So let's see. What team did the Triple Crown winner play for? No I. We should have gone with the standings. The standings says no I dominates, right? And the games behind are different, but it's still clearly no I in both. I mean, this 14 games is probably close enough that it'd be worth running it again. Um, if I didn't have Ezra Denny hounding me to make sure I raid to him on time, I'm just kidding. He's not saying that at all. BABIP is in last place, but and there is a pretty big gap from third to fourth. So it does seem like one of those cases where, like, pretty clearly no I on top, pretty clearly no BABIP on the bottom, and then Power and Void K kind of in the middle. Those are private messages. So again, the way to interpret this is having no BABIP makes your team the weakest. Having no I, relatively speaking, is actually the strongest of having one of your attributes nerfed. So that actually changes maybe the way I think about drafting and rostering players. Like I've been a big on base percentage and OPS fan when building rosters, but what this is telling me is I might be overweighting I. Um, and here we'll look at the stats. The stats. This is going to be PBE because I is generally left for later. Oh, interesting. That's good to hear that it kind of agrees with a third party interpretation. It'll be interesting to look at the stats here and look at the team statistics. Let's look at the batting stats. Now, we're going to expect things like no power team hit 10 home runs. Wow. 10 home runs in a 162 game season. No, for sure, Ezra Denny, that's always one of the disclaimers is, we're looking at two data points here, right? The AL is an independent data point and the NL is an independent data point. That said, though, I think, and again, I'm a statistical analysis person. One of my concentrations in business school was decision sciences, so I'm big on analytics. I think these are enough that, and granted, I want to run it a few more times, but the gap between first and second is pretty wide. The gap between third and fourth is pretty wide.
Why do you keep following me around?
I wouldn't want to say anything definitive without doing some more tests, but it's pretty clear enough to me to at least start questioning my how much I'm weighting I in both. Oh yeah, so we'll go back. It sounds like AW has noticed something in the stats. Led in walks 2 in both leagues. Let's see. Oh yeah, interesting. No power, while only hitting 10 home runs, led the league in walks. Now, of course, no I isn't going to lead the league in walks, but it's interesting that of all the other teams, um, no power led the league in walks. That is interesting. Um, Also interesting that no avoid K had almost as few hits as no BABIP, and that goes to my earlier comment about being concerned that having no avoid K would lead to low contact, right? Because contact is calculated by mixing the two, and so it is interesting that no avoid K is almost as impactful as no BABIP in nerfing hits. Now, it's not all the way as impactful, but yeah, 2,780 Ks. If you look at it on
Why
a
do you
per
keep
player
following me
basis,
around?
right, you're looking at, these players are striking out almost 300 times, 286 times, um, because we nerfed their strikeouts so much. Yeah, someone had to strike. That's right. Um, it is also interesting. Everyone is running the same strategy. Everyone's on sabermetrics. Yet Team No BABIP is bunting a ton compared to the other teams. And they're all running a strategy that doesn't bunt a lot. So I find that curious as well. Now it could be the AI is looking at the batters coming up saying, okay, this player's not going to get a hit, so I might as well bunt and get something out of it. Avoid K is super important in PT league play. So AW, is that supported by analytics, or is that something you feel like you're seeing in your experience? No BABIP striking at the least, probably grounding into double plays anytime someone gets. Oh, that didn't think of that, but that is possible. Yeah, like you're striking out less because you're getting more outs other ways is probably true. Uh, Avoid K super important. So let me go back to the standings. Avoid K. Yeah, we're saying here avoid K is only somewhat important. Both really. Lots of high stuff pitchers will make low avoid K. Yeah, I think that's the big difference, AW, is in this environment, there are only average stuff pitchers, right? So if we change this environment and said, okay, let's make the average stuff higher, then I think avoid K becomes more important. But because in this league there aren't really strikeout pitchers, um, avoid K is like in a high striking environment, the no avoid K team might drop to the bottom. But yeah, I'm as surprised as most of you that you're not getting any walks and you're still finishing um, at the top of both leagues. It also runs contrary to the experiment we just did, which is the power I combination beating all the other power combinations. So there, power I was the most important. Here, we're saying I is not important because you can lose I and still win by a lot of games. So I'm glad we did that power combination uh, analysis. This goes to show you in isolation and in combination, you get different results. When combined with power, I is hugely important. On standalone basis, you can lose I and still win your league by a bunch of games. Now, part of that is, and this, I think this might also factor into what AW is saying is where he's saying avoid K is being important. It might be that when avoid K is combined with other factors, it becomes more important. Just like in power, in I alone doesn't appear to be important, but power I is hugely important. So this might lead us to another experiment where it's like, okay, if losing BABIP sends you to, or if losing, yeah, if no, sorry, what were the standings? If losing, yeah, if losing BABIP sends you to the cellar, are there combinations with BABIP that help you stay competitive or help you or make you even worse. I think that might be a good test. Like BABIP with no avoid K might be a total disaster, which is probably true because your contact is going to go to zero. So that might be the next experiment coming out of this. So yeah, very unexpected result, but consistent across the two subleagues. To Ezra's point, we do have to do more iterations, but I think this is pointing to like a very interesting conclusion, at least on a standalone basis. But again, I point to the power I thing where I is not meaningless. Combined with power is hugely important. So the question is like, what does this mean separately? Is it possible that picture profile we're using just isn't representative of real life and having unintended influence? I mean, it's definitely not representative of real life because every picture is absolutely average. Um, and that's why I was thinking if we do the same thing with high strikeout pitchers and low strikeout pitchers, we'll probably get different results. Um, but the intent is we only want to change one variable at a time, and so that's why we're using this approach. Um, and then we learn from this, and then we do a two variable test, right? Like we did power I, power avoid K, power gap, to test the combinations of factors. Um, but yeah, I agree that it's possible that we're seeing unintended consequences from the experimental setup for sure. AW is going off before it does support that walk is the first calc for plate appearance. Yes, yeah. So when you talk about the mechanics of the game, this does seem to indicate that. Oh wait, does it support it or does it refute it? Let me think about this for a second. Walk or not, and then goes to the next thing. If it goes to the next thing, so you're not walking in this case, and then it goes to the next thing. And the batter is just better than the others because they are the best hitter after. Oh, I see. Because you've gotten past the no I, so then that hitter has everything but I. Yeah, there's probably something to that AW. I'd have to think about it a little bit more though, whether before I could figure out because now we're trying to put the results into a narrative, and I'd have to think about that. So their home runs are way higher in the AL. Oh yeah, let me look at that. Yeah, that's why these team stat looks are helpful. The no I team, yeah, has most home runs in one league and just behind the lead in the other league. So they're hitting the most home runs. Oh yeah, so if you take I out of the calculation, then you're doing the rest of the calculation. I guess that could make sense. Yeah. Um, and they are scoring the most runs, but that's to be expected. If you're winning the most games, you're probably also scoring the most runs, especially if all pitching staffs are equal. But yeah. But the main thing is I wanted, folks in the daytime to see some of the interesting stuff we're doing at nighttime in the Franchise Time Machine uh, Twitch channel. So if this stuff interests you, come check it out or check out the VODs if it's too late for you, which I know it is too late for most people. We go on at 10 p.m. Pacific time most nights. We adjust a little bit based on when Ezra Denny's wrapping up his 1959 Giant save. So sometimes we start a little earlier, sometimes we start a little later. But he's always super kind to raid into us, so it's definitely worth it, working together to make that happen. And it gets our stream off to a great start every night. And yeah, we do this kind of experimentation. We also do something I did not think everyone would be so interested in, but we also do things like this save of fictional baseball players that will be starting up soon. Um, I also do, a lot of TWIP inspired experiments. And oh, thank you, Ezra, for the endorsement that people follow. We did get a ton of follows today, which I appreciate. In fact, we had a few more come in. Let's see. Oh, there's a bunch here that came in while we were doing the sim. Pet Zero gone way worse. Thank you for the follow. Bum Mahoney. Gravestock 23, thank you for the follow. Germaniac Palatines, thank you for the follow. Ken 6. Paris Squirrels, thank you for the follow. OOT Development's following us now, big time. And Shako6, thank you for the follows. Appreciate it. And Ezra, are you ready for me to raid, or do you need a few more minutes? We're gonna raid you into Ezra Denny, but let me give him a shout out here so you all know to follow him. Give you 5 minutes, no problem. Uh, Ezra is a super great person, uh, and I mean, I say that because I think that's more important than being a great streamer, which he is. But he's a super great, genuine person. We're lucky to have him in the community, and you'll see that reflected in all sorts of ways. In particular, things like championing uh, and celebrating Billy Burke, um, encouraging more diversity in our OOTP streaming community. I'm Asian, and so I'm part of why I'm streaming is because he gave that encouragement to people who are not like all the other streamers to start streaming, and so I took him up on that and started streaming, and he's been super supportive. So yeah, he's an ally to many, a great person, and a super fun streamer. I always look forward to his seventh inning stretch where he shares some random amazing thing with his audience. And he has this really fun 1959 Giants save ongoing. And they're about to finish their season and move to Candlestick Park in 1960. So I encourage you to follow him. It's a great time on the stream. He goes I believe he starts most nights around 8:30 Pacific time. So for you East Coasters, maybe a little more accessible than my 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern time start. But yeah, by all means, please give him a follow. We're going to raid into him, so you'll get to see what he's all about. And also wanted to thank EVC and NYC2, who hopefully is on his flight by now and on his way to wherever he's going for the raid. EVC also, I think it was one of the kind of the big three OOTP affiliate streamers, along with Laptop Hound and Doctor Dynastic. And as supportive and friendly as the OOTP community is, those three are as supportive, if not more so, to the affiliate community. So they've made me feel very welcome as a new affiliate. And yeah, and again, I wouldn't be doing this if not for the encouragement of Ezra Denny, but also I think the example set by those folks on how to have a fun time streaming and how to give your audience a fun time, all in different ways. I think we all do things differently and focus on different stuff, but I think that's kind of the beauty of the game and the beauty of the community is we show people all different kinds of ways to have fun playing OOTP. And speaking of fun, I was down 0-2 in the 5L final. It's now 3-2. I'm still behind, but I'm hanging in there. So I'm gonna be watching that while I watch Ezra Denny. Let me see if he's up yet. He did say 5 minutes and has not been 5 minutes yet. Oh, Ezra Denny just went live, so we are going to raid into him. Let me go ahead and plug that in here. So let's enjoy some 1959 baseball and whatever he's got up his sleeve for the seventh inning stretch. And thanks everyone for hanging in there with me. I hope it wasn't too nerdy for you. And I tried to strike the balance of analytics and experimentation, but just being accessible and fun, which is why I don't do 10,000 versions of those sims. But yeah, thanks again, and see you next time. I will be doing a daytime stream Friday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, and we'll show you that the stuff boost is real for the bullpen. AW, thank you for being here. You're very welcome. All right, let's go see Ezra Denny.